studio. It's our pleasure to welcome now Mike McCormick. He's the president of Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation. Mike, thanks for coming in. Always good to see you.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on this rainy morning.
Yeah, we were just talking about the event we had about a month or so ago, right, over at Dancing Rabbit. That was a fantastic event.
Appreciate Super Talk being a part of that. Farmers have so much to be thankful for, and giving back to those less fortunate to us and making sure that we feed the hungry here in the state of Mississippi is a great cause.
Yeah, exactly. And, of course, we were set up in the parking lot of the Golden Moon Casino. Great food, great turnout, and you told me that you had a good golf tournament the next day, right?
Yeah, we had about 42 teams that played golf that continued the fundraising into the next day, and I think next year may even be a little bit bigger. We're going to get both golf courses up there and do it on a Thursday and Friday, so maybe more people can come.
All right. Well, it's a great event, and hope you guys do it again. It was certainly an honor for us to be part of it. We've got Secretary Robert F.K. Jr., R.K. Jr., should say, who has created this Make America Healthy Again movement and has ordered a series of reports and presented those last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. And it's all about food safety and how he kind of wants to transform that and improve the safety of our food. Where does the farming community stand on this?
Well, we're really nervous about it. He's going or will potentially go after our crop protection products. And I don't think that it's scientifically sound science that he's looking at. We're looking at fringe studies, and the Environmental Protection Agency has done work over the past 10 years or 20 years. Since 1996, all crop protection products have to be proven 10 times the label use rate safe to be able to be used in crop protection products. And we're pretty comfortable that the tools that we have out there are safe. They're safe for me. They're safe for my family, and I think they're safe for your family as well. So looking into it, doing some additional studies may not be bad, but if you're looking for sound science, we would be okay with that. But if you're going to look at some of these fringe studies and come after what makes farmers be able to do the thing that we do here in the United States, we're pretty nervous about it.
He has regularly noted risks of glyphosate. Mm-hmm. At least that's what his findings indicate. But you guys don't share the view there.
No, not at all. I think the studies show over and over and over again that even at the 10-time rate, that Roundup or glyphosate is one of the safest chemistries that we've ever used, and it actually has taken the place of a lot of chemicals that I used when I was a child growing up that were proven not to be safe, and the EPA took the correct approach and took that off the market. So now going after something that's so vitally important to all the farmers here in the United States is really concerning. And what's happened is we've opened up doors to sue the manufacturers of Roundup, which is Bayer Crop Science at this point in time. And I've talked to the CEO of the company. I actually met with him last week in Washington, just happened to bump into him. And I'm afraid they're going to stop making this stuff in the United States. And if they do, we're going to have to source it from China, and that's just not a good thing. You don't know what they're making, putting in the product at that point in time. You're at the mercy of a foreign country to get it. But I'm pretty concerned about that, specifically Roundup. There's some others, atrazine, that's used in corn production a lot. There's a lot of them in his crosshairs that the EPA has looked at, and again, since 1996, it has to be proven that it's even with a 10-time use rate of what we use off the label. It has to be proven safe, and 99.1% of those products pass that test every time.
So, Mike, if the federal government were to ban this product, for example, what would be the impact on our farmers?
I think, one, it would make the food that you buy in the grocery stores, the inflation on the prices are going to be tremendous. Second, I don't think the farmers already having a difficult time of making break-even margins on their farms. I don't believe that they could be able to afford to grow it. So I think the outcome and the unintentional consequences of this is actually moving our food production overseas, where these standards are not the standard of what the farmer there has to comply by. And then when we import it back into the United States, all of a sudden magically it doesn't get tested and it comes right back to the shelves of the store, and the consumer is duped into thinking that it's safe, and actually it's got all kind of chemicals in it that we aren't allowed to use here in the United States. So I'd be really careful in believing these reports and trying to not support the farmers in moving our food production overseas. I think it's a national security issue that we grow our crops here in the United States.
Does the report, the Trump administration, Department of Health and Human Services, have they suggested alternatives? I mean, certainly they know that if this product were banned, that it would have those effects that you just mentioned to us. Do they offer any solutions?
Well, I think this is something that polls well in the MAHA movement. The MAHA moms have gotten behind it, and if they've got a child that's not well or family member that's not well, it's got to be somebody else's fault, and the easy target is to go after the big chemical companies and say the farmers are doing this. But it's my understanding that Secretary Rollins is a big advocate for us. I know she is. I know she's looking for support to come out for organizations like mine with Farm Bureau to come out and say, hold on a minute now. Let's let sound science rule the day. Let's look at the data. If the data shows that this is a chemistry that needs to come off the market, then let's take it off the market. But if the science doesn't show that, if we're looking at fringe reports or some of these something that's meeting the ends to create what they want, we need to be really careful about that. So I think Secretary Rollins is our advocate in the White House. I think Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith really went after the Secretary Kennedy in a hearing that she had a week or so ago, and said, look, when we confirmed you told us you weren't going after our farmers, and now it appears to me the report's going to come out coming after our farmers. And it wasn't all in there. It's my understanding going to USDA last week that they were successful in getting some of the impacts mitigated in the report and was taken out. But I think Secretary Rollins is going to have the support of the ag groups to stand behind her, so she can have the voice of us when she's in those meetings privately in the White House.
Also, Senator Tom Tillis, right? He's spoken up as well from North Carolina, I believe.
I'm sure he has. But I'm just convinced that Senator Hyde-Smith is our champion. She's our senator, but I'm telling you, she's outstanding. She gets it. She's a farmer herself. She knows the life that we live. So anyone that wants to come back and rebut some of these stories about the safetiness of the products that we're using is well intended. But look, I'm a farmer, and I wouldn't feed anything to my family that I would feed to your family. So I think I'm totally okay with where we're at. If the EPA is doing these tests, and sometimes they have to be 100 times over the intended rate to get a label. So we're in a pretty good spot. I read something online the other day that said if you give someone a shot glass full of Roundup to drink every day, he's probably going to make him nauseous at the end of the day. And if you give somebody a shot glass full of salt at the end of the day, they're probably going to die. So I think that's well said, and I think we have got to have these crop protection tools, especially here in the South. In Mississippi, our environment is warm and humid and grows great crops, but it also grows a lot of pests to go with it. So when you attack these crop protection products, I think it impacts our farmers here in the state of Mississippi probably as much or more as anybody in the United States.
So, the findings were presented in a meeting that included a good number of the members of the cabinet.
Yep.
I believe at the White House a couple of weeks ago.
It was. When
this was, and I remember the president and, of course, Secretary Kennedy and Brooke Rollins were there flanking him. I think Doug Burgum there as well with Interior. Also Zeldin with EPA.
I think Zeldin and Brooke Rollins are the one leading the charge that, hold on a minute, let's just hit the pause button and don't get extreme with this.
Okay. We got a break. If you can hang around, we keep talking about this. I want to hear your perspective from the state and our state government, how they feel about this. We got Mike McCormick. He's the president of the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation in the Element Wealth studio. Stay with us. Studio visiting with Mike McCormick, president of the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation. So it goes back to 1996, right, Mike? Wasn't there some key legislation passed with respect to the quality of our food?
Yep, that's the act that governs the Environmental Protection Agency on the standards that they've got to uphold to make sure that our food is safe.
Well, to your point in the last segment, I mean, I remember as a kid the big controversy about DDT, right? That was, as I recall, the big concern was that it just endures for such a long period of time. It doesn't break down.
And so they still use that in Mexico, right? So all these tomatoes that you're
didn't know
getting,
that.
oh, absolutely. That's why you want your products made here in the United States.
I didn't know that.
Less than 10% of anything being shipped across the border is inspected. That's about all they can do. So, I mean, when you get it over here and it's got that on it, you don't have a clue that it's on there in your grocery store and it came from foreign country. If it was produced here in the United States, it wouldn't have it on it.
That doesn't make any sense. So we allow products to come into this country to be consumed that we wouldn't allow to be produced if they were produced in this country.
Absolutely.
That makes no sense.
Yep. I agree with that.
I'm glad you told us that. I honestly didn't know that. All right, so let's look at this from state level perspective. Let's start with our Commissioner of Agriculture, Andy Gibson. What are his feelings about this?
Well, you know, he's starting. I think he's announced it. He's told me he was his state make Mississippi healthy again, and I think it's a great idea. We're going to focus on farmers markets and trying to get fresh produce and food to our people here in the state, and we're all for that, and we would support that. We would love to be able to get more people growing small gardens or medium-sized farms to be able to funnel that into farmers markets. It's very difficult. There's a lot of government red tape that has to go along with that, but feeding our people here in the state of Mississippi fresh vegetables that were grown by a Mississippi farmer, that's a good thing, and I think that's what he wants to focus on.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Has he offered any opinions, concerns, support for this report that just came out?
I'm going to let him speak for himself because this is a difficult position to be in, but he certainly understands that our farmers here in the state have to have these crop protection products to be able to compete on a worldwide basis for what we're doing, and I think he'd be supportive of the farmers here in the state.
Okay. Now, this report, again, didn't provide, that I could tell in all the articles I've read about, I haven't read the report, any specific recommendations of substitute products if some of these products were eliminated that they're voicing concerns about. Do you expect the administration will ultimately provide some guidance to our farmers?
So I think this initial report is just a report that says, hey, you know, we feel like we need to look into this thing more, and there's another report that's coming out in August, I believe the end of August. That's going to be the report where he actually gets into the meat and potatoes of what he's actually wanting to do. So we'll watch it as it goes forward, and again, I think as you see this potentially target crop protection products that's going to be essential for farmers to use across the U.S., you're probably going to get a little more pushback from farm state senators and representatives that this is just not sound science. So as long as whatever they do is sound science, that they've got the data to back it up through some trials, I think the farmers are going to be okay with it. But if they go into voodoo science and some of these fringe reports with nothing really to back it up other than just saying it, then I think it'll be problematic.
There are a lot of people, including in our state, that believe this rise of childhood disease, mainly autism, you see cited a lot. They'll point to vaccines. They also point to our food supply and unhealthy foods as well.
So what I would say is if you're that concerned, if you're a mom or a family member that's concerned about that, you have the ability right now to go to farmers markets or to Whole Foods or somewhere to buy organic products grown the way that you want it to be grown, that you feel safe for your family. But those come at elevated cost, and I'm not sure everybody in the United States can afford to have their food grown that way. And I know certainly the farmers are going to have a hard time producing it that way. Your crop yields are going to go down. Your death loss on your farms are going to go up. Look, I doctored a sick calf this past week that was going to die. Was I supposed to let it suffer and perish when I had a shot that I could give it that I know is going to clear his system months and months, probably 6 to 12 months before he's harvested? I know it's going to be out of his system. So I think we can do this, and we can do it the way that the consumer wants, but it's going to come at a different cost structure than we're doing it. Farmers here can grow it any way you want it to be grown, but expect substantially higher food prices if we do it in a different way.
Well, honestly, Mike, you're one of the few people that, first of all, has the knowledge and understanding of this issue to, I guess, to provide a different perspective. We don't hear a lot about the different perspective.
Well, I think that's why I was elected to be Farm Bureau president, to be voice of the farmers while they're out there working. But I think our farmers have the best interest of the public in mind. We want to produce a very safe, affordable food crop, and the Environmental Protection Agency was there to be a watchdog. They're not certainly a lapdog for Farm Bureau or for the farmers. It's almost impossible to get a new label for chemistry that's coming out. They study it to death. So we're not telling the EPA what to do, but if they say that, hey, we feel like this chemistry is safe at the 10-time rate or the 100-time rate, then I think I have pretty can safely say that I feel like that it's safe enough for our people. But again, if you're concerned and you want to feed your family in a different way, we support that as well. There's good organic farmers out there. Just make your choices. But I do think that for large crop production practices here in the United States, we're going to have crop protection products that we can use to be able to affordably raise those crops.
Before you go, how are we doing? How's the industry doing this year? I know early on in the session there were a lot of concerns about some of the banks that these guys rely on to get money to put their crops in the ground were sort of wilting on them there.
Yeah, it got pretty bad last summer after the combines started rolling and the bankers started seeing that the farmers weren't going to pay out. So what happened was they dug a hole and secured some crop loans this year. Some went bankrupt, but most of them were able to go again this year, hoping for a brighter future. And we switched our mix up a little bit. We want heavy corn here in the state, which had a little brighter price point where they could pencil out a profit, possibly if they grew a big enough crop. But this year so far has not been a great year. It's been awful wet. And I'm not hearing about the potential for great yield, so just probably a good average crop, some not so good, depending on where you are with the rains. But it's not the kind of year that our farmers needed to be able to bail some money back in the hole that they dug over the last couple of years. So I'm concerned, but it's a long way to August and to the fall, to the crops start coming out, so we'll know more about it then.
Tariffs, any effect of that?
You know, it has been, and I think the instability of this. I asked you this morning, why is the stock market up so high? And you said it had something to do with the announcement that we weren't going to put the tariffs on the European Union. So
delaying them.
Delaying them, yep. So one day it's up, the next day it's down. Stability is what farmers crave, so they know what they're looking at. And we understand that our markets aren't fair. That we're not being treated fairly in trade deals. So having the administration come to the table and tell everybody we're not going to make your country rich off the backs of the American farmer, that you're going to come back in and give us a fair deal, we support that, but we just need it to be done as quickly as possible so we can get back to some stability.
Yeah, I think the entire economy, honestly, regardless of business, are looking for that, just having that certainty. Yep. Have there been any countries, China, for example, that have just discontinued importing farm products that we produce here in Mississippi?
Yeah, so China's not a trade partner. They're just traders, and they manipulate the market. So one day they may want to buy everything there is to buy to raise the prices, and then the next day cut it all off so it can fall back to nothing. Just because they sign a piece of paper doesn't mean that they're going to act right. So we'll always have issues with China.
Well, we know that from the first term, right?
Yeah,
They didn't.
absolutely.
They didn't hold up their side of the deal.
They never did hold
Yeah.
up their end of the bargain.
Yeah. Mike McCormick, president of Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation, has been our guest in the Element Wealth studio. Mike, always good to see you. Thanks
Hey, thanks for having me on today. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. We're coming right back in the Element